Yeah, like all businesses have different goals. Everyone has different life goals. And so it wouldn't be right if you were just trying to copy someone else's business model blindly without considering like what your own needs are. So yesterday, after knowing what you want to do, where you want to go with that, today we are going to talk about, so how much are you worth? I mean, it was just kind of a catchy way of phrasing like how much to charge, right? I find that that's like one of the common things that business owners in general run into. How much do I charge? One common thing I see people do is they will jump into comparing what other people are charging and base it off of that. But what's the not great part about copying what someone else is doing is that you don't know what their ultimate goal is how they are pricing, what their overhead cost, right? So Susan over in the Caribbean is going to have different overhead costs, different market than say Wheaton, right? Or, Sean in LA. So, or Sandra in London, like we all have very different markets. And so we have to take into account that before you can factor your pricing. So rather than telling you what to charge, I like to give you a formula instead of what to charge. And this allows you to calculate your worth at any time, no matter if you end up switching markets, because I know I've coached people too, where it's like they've relocated and they need to start over at a different market, or maybe different times have changed. So for example, let me give you an example of how I did it in my own business. So at the time I was charging $900 for portraits, period. Like whether you came to my house to shoot or whether you went, whether you shot near my house or whether I had to drive an hour from here, I was just charging $900 flat. So I came to the point where I realized, you know what, like, I don't want to be so far away from my kids anymore. I want to be able to pick them up from school. And the other thing I realized is in LA, it takes an hour to get anywhere. So if I have to drive an hour to photograph client A, it's going to take me too much time to drive another hour to shoot client B. And as a result, I was only able to fit maybe 2 portrait sessions in. So at that point, what I did was I looked at my numbers and like the spreadsheets. I'm going to show you the spreadsheets that I use in a bit. But being able to use these spreadsheets, I plugged in some numbers and I realized, you know what, I'm going to try to get people to come to my city instead. So I made one room available for shooting. And so what I started to do was, if you come to my house or if you live in my city, I will do it for the same price. They don't know this. This is just my internal dialogue, right? I will continue to shoot for $900 if you come to my place or within the 3-mile radius that my small city is. However, if they want me to travel to them, I'm going to double my prices. Let's just see what happens. So now it's $1,800 if you want me to go anywhere outside of LA. And the reason I actually found really great success in it, because I found that most people were willing to drive, like to save the $900. They were willing to drive, for them to drive the hour versus me driving that hour. Right. And so I was worried about what my old clients would say, that I used to come to their house for $900 and now I'm $1,800 if I go to their house. But what I found was that they still had the $900 option though. They could still come to me if they wanted to shoot for that price. So people weren't totally upset about it, like there was at least still that option. And so what I found was that now I was actually able to stack a lot of my shoots. So now I was able to schedule people at, 10 a.m., 11 a.m., 12 p.m., right? and be able to get in a lot more shoots in one day without me having to drive around so much. And then I was able to be around and available to pick up my kids after school. So that's one example of what I was able to do because I had these spreadsheets that was able to help me, plug in numbers and see what I could do. And I knew that, if I could maintain X amount of shoots in this local area, then I would be able to still maintain my income. And then any of the traveling shoots would be extra. This was also something that I did when I was shifting from when I was wanting to do more portraits and less weddings. I was, I'm not getting any younger. Weddings are very long days. I love them, but I want to enjoy them and I don't want them to burn me out. So I just knew that I only wanted like 12 weddings a year, and I would be happy with 12 a year. It would let me enjoy it without having to feel like overworked by it and without making me physically drained by it. Because the day after a wedding, I mean, how many of you guys shoot weddings here? Like for those of you who shoot weddings, like the day after a wedding is kind of like pooped, right? Like your body is tired. And so I found myself not really being available mentally, physically for my children. So sorry, I realized my laptop's not charging and it's going to run out of batteries if I don't get this to charge. But yeah, so this was a great way for me to be able to do less shoots and make more at the same time. So I don't know why my laptop's not charging. Okay, so let me go. Just a reminder for those of you who didn't catch us yesterday, what I'm giving you today is a snippet of my larger program, Like Nobody's Business. Like Nobody's Business is my business coaching program. It's a 10-week program. So I'm extracting the few bits that I can to give you guys in 3 days. So you're getting just like a really small sliver of it, but I am accepting applications for the next cohort. So if you want, you can, take a picture with your phone or like pretend to take a picture, scan it with your phone camera, and then the URL will pop up. But if you prefer manually, CarolineTranEducation.com/business_coaching, and that would be able to get you more information about the application. So, okay, so designing, just to review what the 3 days are going to cover, the snippet that I've pulled out from this 10-week program, I've pulled out yesterday. We talked about designing your ideal life, going backwards. Today, we talked about how much you are worth. We're going to talk about pricing, how to figure out your pricing. And then tomorrow, we're going to figure out how to market to find those people. Once you know. So today, we're going to figure out how much. And tomorrow, we're going to figure out where you're going to find that amount and how to get that much. All right. So today, the objective of today, like I mentioned, I backwards plan my lessons, just like how I backwards plan my business and how I want you to approach your business as well, is determining what you should charge. Don't worry about the how yet. I don't want you to look at the number and be like, oh my God, there's no way my market's going to be willing to pay this. Or, oh my God, there's no way, like, I don't think my work is good enough. Don't worry about that part yet. We're just going to look at the numbers first. Tomorrow, we'll figure out how you'll get to those numbers. But today, let's just figure out how to get those numbers. One thing I want you to remember is don't let your business determine the life that you're going to be able to live. And instead, I want you to design your business to give you the life that you want instead. Do you see how backwards that is? Like, I find that a lot of business owners, they let their business determine what they're able to have. They let their business dictate how much vacation time they have, how late they have to work. And this it's not just even business owners, right? But I find like even just work in general, like when you don't have like a clear idea of what you want and identified what your own dreams are, you end up working to fulfill someone else's dreams, right? And so it's important to know what your own dreams are and then make your business work for you so that you get to live that life that you want. All right, so today, the first exercise that I want to share with you is determining how much your dream life cost. So yesterday, what you did was you described what your dream life was for me, right? You wrote out, the values that you have, what you want your business to maintain, what you want your life to look like, how you want to live. And so today, we're going to put a dollar price tag to that. So what I'm going to share with you right now is a spreadsheet that's part of, so in Like Nobody's Business, there's 8 of these different spreadsheets, like worksheets that I've created for you. And so this is one of 8. And this one actually has 2 tabs, and a lot of them have multiple tabs too. So this is like part of what the workbook looks like. But this one, for example, we're just gonna kind of go through it together and throw out, numbers that are roughly around what you guys are. And you are welcome to feel free to just kind of follow along and write your own numbers as well. So the way this stuff works is that you only input into the purple cells. So do not edit any of the white or pink cells. So these are calculators that I have already created for you. So if you touch these, you will ruin the formula, which is not a big deal. Like I give you like a template, a master sheet. So you just have to go back to scratch to 0. But if you only touch the purple stuff, then you won't ruin the calculator. But let's see. So how much does phone and internet cost about a month? I know it varies, from city to city, but I roughly wrote $300 to cover, internet at your studio or house, office, and then your cell phone bill, maybe hotspot, to have hotspot access when you're meeting with your clients, right? Utilities, this includes like trash, water, gardening, HOA fees. So this is where you start to think about that dream house of yours, where you want to live, where you ultimately want to live. How much does it cost to live in that area, right? I roughly wrote 400 for now. Is it too small? I see some of you guys squinting. I was going to see if I can zoom in on this, but I don't know if, how do you zoom in? Command plus? No. Nope, I'm trying to do that thing too.
You can make it bigger. Like I can make it bigger on my phone if I just expand it.
Caroline,
Okay, if you're on your phone, yeah, you can zoom in. I guess
Caroline, I want to say, see it says the 5th tab, the 100% on top. You can on the left side.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that, you guys. Oh. All right. Perfect. Okay, so now hopefully you guys can read it a little bit better. Okay, so utilities, I just estimated 400. I don't know, but I was talking to a friend recently and he was telling me that his electric bill is $2,000 a month. I was like, how do you rack up $2,000 a month for electricity? Like, so who knows? Maybe my numbers are way off, but whatever your utilities are, put that down for your utilities. I don't know, maybe it's more like 600. Because I heard like AC bill in Texas could be like 600 a month or something. And if you have a swimming pool alone, I hear that's like, 200, 300 a month. So I'll just put 600 for now, but you can put based on what yours is. Car insurance for you, your spouse, your children. Like if you are the sole breadwinner and you have to pay for your spouse and your children, then add it into here. If you have, if you are dual income in your household and somebody else is taking care of part of it, then you put like, I just want to know how much your business needs to sustain, right? Like how much of this you're paying. So if you're splitting the bill with a roommate or a partner, a life partner or whatever, then you can, put just your share of it. I just want to know what your business needs to sustain. Home insurance, I put 200. Health insurance, I put 600. Life insurance, I put 50. I don't know, like depends on what your policy is, I guess. Investment and savings, I highly recommend you should have something like planned for this, regardless, like put a percentage. It could be a percentage, it could be a flat rate amount, but put something here. Force yourself to save for retirement, because as you know, we don't get a pension. We don't get a 401k or anything like that. So your retirement is going to have to be planned by yourself. So get a financial advisor, budget something towards your savings, your rainy day funds, and allocate for that. Any subscriptions, cable, Amazon, Hulu, Netflix, any other, I don't know. Yeah, whatever you are having monthly charges to. Gym memberships. I find that these things we tend to forget. And then the bill, like they look like little charges, like $40 here a month, $20 there a month, and the next thing you know, it's like, whoa. So I'm having you, I want to be very realistic about this, right? I want your business to like more than sustain you. Any other charges like house cleaning, car washes, groceries, if Kate asked if we should include cost of running the business. You can include it in here, or you can include it in your business expense sheet. This one, I was focusing more on my personal lifestyle first, like just how much it takes to be me, I guess, to live me. But you can definitely add lines in here too, if you want it. But I keep my business expenses separately because to me, this is the minimum that I need to profit in the end. Your business expenses is going to come out of your business profit. You know what I mean? So this is what I need my net to look like at the end of the day. So that's why I focused this on just me, sustaining Caroline. So then this gives you an idea of what your overall bills is. So this is a summary of that, but then we can continue going on and let's talk about like home and mortgage rent. How much is your mortgage? How much is your rent? In LA, it's probably, I don't know, like 3,800. Although like, I know, I didn't realize how much rent is nowadays, but like couple homes in my area were for lease, and my friend's a realtor and they leased for $6,000 a month. So I'm like, I can't imagine paying $6,000 a month to live in a home, but I guess real estate is just crazy right now. So whatever, I figure, I don't know, that could be an average of, going from 6,000 here to like, I don't know, 1,200 in, more affordable places. Transportation. What type of car do you dream of living? Are you leasing it? Are you, did you buy it? What kind of car is it? I don't know. Do you have a private jet? Like, I'm talking about like your dream life, right? I mean, Susan in her little island, like might need a private jet to get out. So, whatever that dream life that you have, how much is it costing? How often are you traveling? And how much money should you allocate for that? This activity, by the way, is something that my financial advisor sat me down and did as well, because he wants to know how much does it take to sustain you, right? So this is what we're going through. Before we could even start talking about pricing, we need to know what your baseline is. And this is how we're figuring it out. Dining expenses, I was shocked, to be honest, like when I, for the first time in my 20s, sat down and looked at finances and realized how much I was spending on eating out. And I was like, whoa, we eat out a lot. And so then the pandemic, we started eating in, obviously, and started cooking more. And it's like, whoa, we saved a lot of money from dining in. So I'm very grateful for the lessons I've learned through the pandemic. Dependents. Do you have elderly parents that you have to care for? You know, we were paying for my father-in-law's rent. So that's something you have to factor into. Are you paying for kids? Are they in college at this time that you're paying for? So, you know, or are you putting in monthly payments to their college fund, right? Depending on how old your kids are. But I want you to think about all this, because ultimately in the end, once you factor it in, so leisure activities, haircuts, craft supplies, shopping, fishing trips, spa memberships or whatever, getting your nails done, right? This, like, I want you to be able to live the life you live. And this is not the time to be frugal about it, because otherwise you will be living a frugal life. Your business will be supporting a frugal lifestyle, right? So this is, I'm talking about like your dream lifestyle. This is how you want to live. And then let's make your business give it to you. And then, so now you have total cost. At the end, we did taxes, yes. So whatever your tax, I should have indicated that tax bracket. How much taxes do you pay? Like, you know, what, I just threw in a number, right? But, you know, it could be 30 or 40 or whatever percent, you're, depending on what country you're in as well. It might make a difference too, right? So whatever tax bracket you're in, enter that percentage. So then now it gives you what the total number you need to make to cover the taxes as well, and to still have the money to live the way you want to live. Income tax. This is your income tax bracket. So, because if you need 141,000 to survive, right? But you only make 141, you have to remember 30% is going to go to Uncle Sam. So you won't actually have that whole 141. So you actually need 183. It sucks doing this part. However, knowing this part is where we can now move forward and now come up with a goal for it, right? So now the second part of the worksheet that I have for you is now you plug in that number. So let's say the goal, what did we say? The goal was 183. So this is where you can put the expenses that you were asking about, Kate. So I have it broken down into the three types of businesses that we talked about yesterday. If you are a freelancer, if you're a boutique brand versus if you're a high volume studio. And so now you can plug in the numbers from here. So let's say that you are a freelance photographer and you do a combination of weddings and commercial gigs. And let's say on average, you tend to do like full day shoots and you get about 1,000, you get 1,000 per session. As a freelance, your expense is probably not that much. It's just your gear, right? You're not spending any money on marketing. You just have to maintain good relationships with people who bring you work. You have to do 185 shoots a year if you want to sustain that lifestyle. Now, I put in a big number on purpose and with the LA lifestyle, right? And assuming that I was sole breadwinner. But again, let's say that I am actually married and I only split half the cost. So my spouse is going to be bringing in half the cost. Let's say my spouse makes 100 grand. So I actually only need to bring in 83,000 of it. Make sense? So then now what I need to do 85 shoots at 1,000 per shoot. Let's say that with these, what if I charged 1,500 to shoot a wedding? Now I need to make 56 weddings to do it. Let's say that I'm able to do on average 2,000 a wedding. If I can charge like, let's say I partner with the studio, I don't know, books me out for X amount, but I get $2,000 per wedding that I shoot for the studio. Then now I need 42 weddings a year. So that's actually not so bad, right? Because if this is your only job, there's 56 weeks in a year. So you actually have breaks too. So, and even at 1,500, that's about one wedding a week, one wedding per weekend. But that's assuming that you're not working Monday through Friday either. This is assuming you're only working Saturdays. That's not bad, right? You would be able to make your lifestyle if you just did one wedding. That's literally working one day a week. And if you're freelance, you're not even doing any of the editing part. You're literally just shooting and burning. So, this gives you a lot of clarity, and it also gives you perspective on when you market. When I did this exercise, this is when I realized that, you know what, like, I don't have to please everybody. I just have to please 56 people. If I could just make 56 couples happy, that's all I need. I don't care if 100 people hate me, right? Or hate my work or whatever. But if I can make these 56 people happy, that's all I need. Now, let's say that you want to go down a boutique brand. So now, you're running your own business. Same thing. You're splitting the income. You, however, because you're a boutique brand, you are spending more money on this business now. You now have to possibly pay for staff, like second shooters and stuff like that. You might, I think these numbers are really high. Like, I don't think I don't know, but graphic designer, editing, like, would you pay? Let's say that you are, I don't know, I'll just leave these numbers as is. It's better to aim high anyway. So let's say you spend $6,000 a year on salary, insurance, accounting. You spend $7,000 a year paying your second shooters, graphic designers, marketing, software subscription type of stuff, bank fees, equipment, supplies, uniform, shipping cost, phone, internet stuff. Let's say it's $4,000. Facility expenses. Let's say that you're like me and don't have a studio, and you're just paying, whatever your utilities are a month. I don't know, let's say 5,000 for for utilities. So now let's say my average annual running the business cost is 22,000. So the 22,000 gets added on to the 83,000, and then what I have to do now is decide how much I want to charge. So let's say I'm doing weddings for $5,000. If I'm doing weddings for $5,000, if I have to book 21 weddings. For a full-time wedding photographer, that's actually not bad, right? I think 21 is a good flow. Like, that's less than every other week at this point. So that's less than two a month, less than 2 weddings a month. So if that's all you're doing, that's, I thought I muted everyone. Okay. Mute all again. Okay. But yeah, so that kind of gives you an idea of that. Now, let's say that you started to charge 7,500 instead. That now brings you down to only needing 14 weddings a year. Not bad at all, right? If you have multiple streams of income, so let's say you do portrait sessions and weddings, then I would do these calculations separately. So I would do one for just weddings. So let's say, what if I could make 50,000 in weddings and 50,000 in portraits? I want to go 50-50, right? So then you would plug it in, 50,000 for weddings. If I can charge an average of $5,000 per wedding, I need 14 weddings. And let's say I'm going to do portrait sessions as well. If I'm going to do, let's say my average portrait session is 1,000, I need 14 weddings and 72 portraits. Okay, maybe that's 72 portraits in a year is not bad though. Like I said, I do the baby's first year where each baby books about 4 sessions. So if I just find 25 newborns for the year, that's 100 sessions in a year, right? Kate was saying, that's fine. I mean, this is giving you kind of an app, like a number per year, right? So let's say that, let's go back to 5,000. So you may realistically have to condense the 14 into May to November. So Kate was saying, what if the weddings are seasonal? Like, this is just giving you a overall like yearly answer that you need. So you can shift it however you do. And then if you're going to be a high volume studio, you're going to spend a lot more money on expenses because now you're hiring a lot more people to do it, right? Because you need to manage a lot more editors, shooters, right? The good thing is it's not you. And the good thing is, let's say that you start doing weddings at 3,000. Even if my goal income was 143,000 here, if I charge $3,000 for a wedding, or I think that's like, I mean, for LA market, I would say like a studio should be able to at least charge 4,000. I need 50 weddings a year. If I had 2 shooters in this high volume studio, that's only 25 weddings per freelancer, right? So I think that's like very manageable. You would be able to live your dream life having 2 people shoot for you, and you just have to manage the booking, or hire someone to do the booking. But the more you hire, the higher this price goes, but the less you work. So I'm all for trading money for time. Is that like, versus like, I don't want to trade time for money. I would rather just hire someone to do it so I have extra time, versus there's like the small business owner easy mistake is, oh, I'll just do it myself. Oh, like, let me get should I hire an editor? I'll just do it myself. But all those like little, let me do it myself is really taking you away from being able to do something bigger, like marketing, networking, business planning, structuring things, right? So the work that is hand-offable, hand it off. Let someone else take care of it for you. So that's like, an example of one of the spreadsheets that we use in the course. Now, to give you another example, I want to make sure that I end in time with Q&A, because yesterday we went a little bit long and then people didn't get to ask, like some people had to check out before the Q&A started. And so I want to make sure that we have time for that today. I am still trying to get my laptop to charge. Why are you not charging? I wonder. Okay. All right. But anyway, so so the next step, once you know how much your dream life costs, the next part is to figure out how much you need to charge. And then once you know how much you need to charge, it's figuring out how much you need to shoot in order to meet your financial and lifestyle goals. So that is, that's that second sheet that I had shared with you guys, right? So the first sheet number 1 was figuring out what the cost is. Sheet number 2 was how much do you need to charge, and how do you, like, how many shoots you have to do so that you can be realistic about it. So what I want you to remember with that is that don't worry about, I'm gonna get a charger and be right back because I might just completely die on you guys. Hold on. All right, I just stole my husband's charger. So. Yes. Okay, charging. All right, we have power. Okay, so but yeah, so the one thing. No, you're not charging now. Why are you not charging now? I don't know why my laptop doesn't want to charge.
Do you need to flip a switch in your house for that outlet to get power? My house is like that.
Let me try a different outlet. Okay. That did it. I just switched outlets. I'm not sure. Anyway, okay. So let me catch up to where I'm at. So when you are doing this worksheet, what I want you to do is not to worry about, oh my God, how am I going to charge $4,000 a month? Or sorry, $4,000 a wedding. Instead, what I'd rather you worry about is, can I shoot 50 weddings a year? So if you can't shoot 50 weddings a year, then it's like, all right, what if I make my studio charge 6,000 a month now? Okay, cool. Can I handle a studio that's doing 33 weddings a year? Right? I'd rather you think of it that way. And don't worry about this number being like, oh my God, there's no way I can charge 6,000. The point of the coaching program is we're going to get you to now charge 6,000. That becomes our goal. You understand? So the rest of the, like tomorrow, we'll talk more about like now that we know how much you need to charge, how do we get people to pay it? What do you mean by a studio booking weddings? Oh, that means like, for example, if I am going to be like True Love Photography or something, and people come to me and, you know, I hire, I become like an agent in a way. So like I am the studio and I book them, I connect them with the photographer. So my studio has 5 photographers, you know, that I have trained to all shoot in similar styles or not. Like you can pick depending on, that's like a whole other conversation, right? But they come in and it's like, oh, you know, I think your personality would fit perfectly with Kim. Let me introduce you to Kim. And then, or Lori, right? Like, so then they come and then, but everything is handled within. So they are booked under True Love Photography, but with these different photographers. Okay, so true or false? You should lower your prices if prospective clients are saying you are too expensive. So thumbs up if you think this is true, thumbs down if you think this is false. You're getting a bunch of inquiries and they're all saying you're too expensive. Should you lower your prices? And give you guys a chance to get your votes in. All right. I'm glad you guys said false because I hear maybe it's one of those things where we know what we're supposed to do, but I find that a lot of people react by lowering the prices. And I get it. Like when we're in a level state of mind, it's easy to say, well, duh, no, you don't lower your prices. But in that heat of the moment, you know, like it's easy to be like, oh my God, like, am I really too expensive? What are the competitors charging? Like, so you are too expensive. If somebody says you are too expensive, what they're really telling you is you haven't communicated your value to them yet. So you can take a screenshot of that to remind yourself. The next time you are tempted to lower your prices, remember this, okay? It is not because you are not worth it. It's because you haven't showed them that you are worth it. Let me give you an example of that. Ultimately, what you need to do is raise your perceived value. Let's say you walk into a boutique. You've never heard of the name before because you are in a foreign country, okay? But when you walk, so there's 2 boutiques side by side. You're in a foreign country, so you don't know what's trendy or not. You are trying to make that assumption for yourself. You walk into one store and there's bins of purses. You rummage through the bins of purses, you find something you like, you pull it out, and it says it's $500 for this purse. What is your initial reaction? You walk in, it's like a dingy store, you know. I'm giving you extreme as examples, okay, but to make a point. You walk into the next store, so you pick up that $500 purse out of the bin, and you're like, $500? Like what? Actually, let me be a little bit more realistic. Let's say it's $150. I would probably say $150 for this? That's too much. Like, you know, like this should be like bargain bin, right? You walk into the next store and everyone is dressed in suit and tie. They greet you with the, you know, ask if you'd like a glass of champagne. They add, you know, the purses are displayed on shelves really nicely. When you ask to see one, you know, they bring it out, maybe even with the white glove. Okay. You ask them how much the purse is, and they say $1,500. That's not bad. I mean, like I'm exaggerating, right? But suddenly it's like, and I find myself with this, right? It's like, how is it that I walked into one store and thought a $150 purse was too expensive, but walk into another one and think $1,500? It was like, that's like, you know, not bad, right? And so a lot of it has to do with the perceived value. It's what you make people think you are worth. At the end of the day, everything is just down to perceived value. Because to be honest, like, is that, and to be a little bit more realistic, like, is a Coach bag really that, or like, let's say a Chanel bag, is a Chanel bag that much more high quality than a Coach bag? Yes, I get, you know, the craftsmanship, the material and stuff, but is it that much more? You know what I mean? To be like $150 versus $5,000, right? Like that's a huge price difference there. The quality, if you're thinking about just materials alone, is probably just, you know, a couple $100 difference. But in the end, it's the marketing, it's the perceived value, it's that luxury feeling, it's that they convinced you that this is worth that much, right? It's a status thing. So that is kind of what we'll talk more about tomorrow and more in the class. But I just wanted to give you a word of encouragement that if you do hear you are too expensive, it's not because you are actually too expensive. So do the calculations like I was showing you and just stick to that number. And rather than bringing yourself down, let's talk about how we can bring everything else up. Rather than bringing your prices down, let's talk about how you can bring your perceived value up so that you can actually start making that money. So that's going to be more of tomorrow's talk, but hopefully I leave you with that. So today, your assignment, your homework is to calculate what your cost needs to be, kind of based on what I was showing you. And come up with those numbers, and feel free to share in the group and we can help you out. If you need to commiserate, if you need to, you could either realize, wow, this is actually not that bad. It's attainable. I can do this. I just need 26 weddings. I can do this. Or you could be like, oh my gosh, I need to start charging double what I'm charging. Okay, how do I do that, Carolyn? How do I now double my prices? And again, just a reminder, like this is a snippet of Like Nobody's Business, my 10-week coaching program that has just opened for applications. I have been looking through them and I saw a lot of your names in there already, so I'm super excited. So get that. I'm going to start going through some of the questions right now. I saw somebody ask, I live where tourism is the only major income on our island. It is seasonal. Susan, you know, the wonderful thing about living in a tourist place is you have a lot of options. I would recommend doing something that's either high volume or a mixture like of boutique and high volume. The reality of being on that touristy island is that you would either have to market yourself like globally to make people want to come to the Caribbean, and they equate Susan Croft with the Caribbean. You know what I mean? So people will be flying in to shoot with you. They are not likely going to be repeat clients. It's a slightly different business model because they might not come back again, right? Like these might just be one-offs. But so you would have like a huge internet presence. This is like kind of related, but there was this one guy. So I started during the pandemic, like I started getting into Korean dramas. And so I'm learning like Korean casually on the side just for fun. I like languages. I speak 4 languages. And so I was like, like, let's pick up Korean just for fun. Like I'm not trying it like intensely, but it's just, you know, when I have like a couple minutes here and there, I'll do a couple like little courses. But there's one guy on Instagram. He does hilarious language content for Korean. And I was like, how is he monetizing this? And I started looking into him more, and I think it's a brilliant marketing ploy. He is a travel guide, a travel advisor. So his whole thing is come visit Korea. But I was like, how genius is that? Because if you think about it, somebody who's coming to Korea, their number one problem might be, how do I speak the language? So if you are now teaching them how to speak the language, and this is like a long-term marketing plan, if you think about it, because somebody like me who's learning how to speak Korean now might not travel to Korea for another 5 years or so. But when I do travel to Korea and I need a guide, or I need, you know, a agent or whatever, who am I going to think of? I'm going to think of him. So similarly to you, Susan, like if you started a social media account that was just all about the Caribbean, secret spots, you know, highlighting secret spots, getting people really excited to travel there, you could become the Caribbean photographer. Like by, you know, that's like one marketing way of getting people there, right? So that's like an idea. And then that would be similar to like Kate, who said like wedding is seasonal, right? You would have to ask yourself, like, are they mostly destination weddings where they're coming in? And if they are, then in your social media, start educating people. Yes, yeah, educate people on why it's so awesome to get married there. You know, become the resource for them. And then they will think of you when they are ready to book that photographer, and when they are convinced they want to come there to have their elopement or wedding. Let's see. You guys can start feeling to raise your hands too. I'm just going through the comment boxes to look for. So somebody said, I think like, what if you don't shoot weddings? When I was using weddings because it was just an easy one, but it could be, this applies to anything. If it's commercial gigs, work it out in average commercial gig cost. If it's portrait sessions, do average portrait cost. This even works for music lessons, like average, you know, the average lesson that you charge, or less average monthly income per client, you know, then that'll tell you how many clients you have to get, whether it's music lessons or language lessons, tutoring, whatever it is, right? Like mentoring. It works for any business. Even products, if you're trying to sell something, then it's like how many purses you have to sell at that price to make that much. Another question I got was, do I have male photographers on my team, and do people tend to prefer female photographers? I actually do have male photographers on my team. My closest people tend to be female. And what I mean by that is like the people on my executive table, like around the table. But I do have male freelancers, and I do like the energy. It's different on weddings, especially. We usually are a mixture of male and female on a wedding day. I think perspective is different, especially like documenting the groom and such. I think it's nice to have both diversity. I think it's more about diversity than gender roles necessarily. Let's see. There's a lot of questions about the spreadsheets. So these spreadsheets are specific to Like Nobody's business, but I know some people are asking if they could just buy it individually. I'll have to see if it makes sense on its own. You know, like the last thing I would want is to like sell a product and then somebody buys it and not know how to use it. So let me look into that. But with Like Nobody's business, there's actually like a video that goes with the spreadsheet. So there's like me talking to you like, okay, now enter this into this cell and then enter that into this cell, right? So there's like, but I'll see if I can break it apart to make it. But for right now, it's part of the full coaching program. I don't see dates for the next, oh, you know, I believe if you go to the website itself, if I don't have dates, I need to add dates to that one. I definitely intended to have dates. But it starts the week. I'll just give it to you guys real quickly right now because that's probably the fastest thing to do. But it's the week after I close applications. So applications end on the 5th. And then that gives me a couple days to finish reviewing. And then the first session starts on April 12th. I did put a vote on there if people prefer Monday afternoon or Tuesday morning. So it will either be the 11th or the 12th, April 11th or 12th, depending on what most people vote on. So what I do when I review the applications is I group them up into like people who would make good cohorts. And then from there, I look at availability, you know, and see, and then I'll probably call you. Like if, let's say that your cohort of 29 people said they want Tuesday morning, but you said you want Monday afternoon, but I think you would fit really well with this group. I'll give you a call and see if it's an option to, yeah, but coordinating times with everyone. I threw out two time options. Okay. There are now high volume studios in Litchfield County, mostly summer community. Maybe I should start a high volume. That's actually like, there are, you know how I was showing you like yesterday when I was showing you the baby, like you could do a high volume studio like that. And I'm actually working on that right now because a lot of my baby's first year stuff, it's such an easy sell. They sell like hotcakes. Everyone with the newborn, you know, who lives in this area is going to want to document it anyway. Not everyone can afford me. So I'm working on actually having a more affordable option. And then that just being photographers that I train to do. But you could be like a well-oiled machine on that and just churn them out. I only allow studio bookings on the weekdays. With me, portraits are only available on the weekdays because my weekends are reserved for weddings or anything that pays like a wedding or for my children. So I'll only walk out leave my children if it's going to pay like wedding prices. So they have to do Monday through Friday if they're shooting with me. But my associates are now available on weekends for them if they prefer weekends.
Thank you. You gave me that.
Wait, say that again?
Sorry, it was a last course that I took with you. You gave me the idea that I can have people come to my house, but I had never thought of that before. And it's now kind of changing my thought process about how to do it.
Awesome.
I'm actually rearranging my house right now so that I can set up the best room for a studio. So
awesome.
Thank you.
You know, Scarlett from your last, from your cohort as well, she wrote me a message that I just thought like, I loved what she wrote. What she said was that I taught her more than just about photography, but I changed her mindset. Like I gave her a problem solving mindset so that now
That's
she feels
exactly
like
what you've done for me. So thank you. And to anybody who's questioning, take the class. Who hasn't taken a class.
I really believe in the teaching you the how, you know, so that you can solve it on your own after. I mean, my goal here, I want to be there for you to support you all the time, but I need you to be able to be independent. That's the ultimate goal, right? And so for me, I'd rather teach you how to solve the problems rather than making you be dependent on, you know, a course all the time, right? So with this, like you'll have the tools for you to be able to solve the problems going forward. Somebody else asks, are beginners welcomed? Yes, like I mentioned yesterday, when I teach all levels, level 1, 2, and 3. And that's why some people retake the course, because they would have taken the course as a level 1 participant. So that's someone who's just brand new in the business. And the thing is, if you take this as a beginner, you are going to accelerate your growth, because I'm going to help you skip, you know, some of the steps and the trial and error that happens along the way. So we'll get you to, you know, elevate a lot faster. And the homework that I give is slightly different for each level. You engage with it different, and you hear the lessons differently too. Because, for example, for a beginner person, you might be more worried about like the logistics of starting a business. So when I'm talking about marketing stuff, it might just go beyond you, because that's not what you were worried about yet. You were more worried about like, how do I set up the business, right? Whereas, and maybe when you are if you are level 1, you're probably not worried about scaling yet. You're probably just worried about, how do I get a workflow that, you know, how do I get more bookings? You know, and when I'm telling you how to be more efficient, you probably don't care yet because you don't have the volume yet. But then let's say you got through the class, you are now booking a lot and you become super busy, and now you're overwhelmed because you're like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I'm like working to the bone now. And then you suddenly watch the class again, and the stuff that I mentioned about being more efficient and about scaling, you're like, oh, that's what she meant by that. Because I know scaling is something that's on my mind now, but if you told me that 5 years ago, I didn't care. Like when people were talking about like high volume stuff, I'm like, I don't care. Like, I just want to be like the superstar, right? So then I become the superstar. I'm booking these big weddings and I'm like, oh my God, I'm really tired now. Like, how do I get more help, right? So you hear things differently as you go through your journey. And so that's why I have alumni that come back to take the course again, because you process it very differently. And I help you in different ways because your concerns change. And that's normal and okay. Somebody else says, I'm brand new to the photography family. I'm currently charging half of what the average is in this area. Does that mean clients will view me as less of a professional? I would worry less about like what everyone else is charging and making sure that you're actually making enough first. However, if you are charging half of what the average is, that probably means that you are able to raise your prices a lot. So then I would like to look into more about why you're not charging more. And if it's a confidence thing, then what we need to do in order to help you raise that dollar amount. Because I think you're missing the potential. Like you're falling short of what your potential could be in that area right now. But there's a variety of reasons, you know, like for example, you could be still building your portfolio. And maybe your main goal is not to make money at the moment, but is to get some amazing gigs, right? And if so, there's different ways to do that without having to charge half the price. So we can talk about that. So deciding between Osterias in a professional office with high-end tenants, lawyers, CPAs, reefer, brick mill, or the art complex. Not sure how to judge perceived. Okay, that one. So their question is like, it sounds like they have 3 different types of options for studios on where to book. One would be like your high-end, you know, lawyer, corporate type of place. One would be more of like an art district complex type of place, and, you know, how's a perceived value. That one actually comes down to another exercise that we're not gonna maybe we'll have time to do it tomorrow. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow instead. But it's knowing who your audience is and where they actually are. So we're not quite ready for that yet today, but let's talk about that tomorrow, where to find your people. Let's see. Do you raise your cost every year? And if so, do you base it on percentage? I don't necessarily raise prices every year. I sometimes raise prices multiple times a year. And then I sometimes don't raise prices at all a year. It really depends on, like, I do it as I go because I adjust prices as I go because sometimes cost changes as you go. Like maybe your album company suddenly raised prices, that forces you to raise prices. Maybe my staff suddenly wants a raise. Maybe I just realized that I miscalculated. Sometimes that happens. If I have a new quote, like because I have studio managers booking for me, there are times where they mistakenly underprice me by accident. And I look at it, I'm like, oh my God, like what, and then lesson learned, let's adjust it for next time. I'm okay with mistakes. To me, mistakes are just opportunities to do it better. I am the type that would rather, let's just do it and fix it as we go, rather than trying to perfect it before ever launching it. Because you have, oftentimes, like what I find is you're not really going to be able to know what you need until you actually do it anyway. So rather than overthinking it and overanalyzing it, just try it. You're not locked into it. You can change it. So newborn sessions, for example, I used to charge the same price for a newborn session and a regular session. I realized quickly that newborn sessions take twice as long because they need changing, they need feeding, they need soothing, and it just takes longer, and that's okay. So let's just start charging more for the newborn sessions. Will you offer this course twice a year? I am not sure because my schedule does pick up a lot. Like I think with all the postponed weddings and stuff, like my spring summer is going to be really packed. So I haven't decided if I will have the time yet. In an ideal world, I offer the portrait bundle, which is how to shoot portraits efficiently. In Q1, I offer the business course Q2, and then I open up the portrait one again in Q3, and then the business one again in Q4. That's like my ideal planning, but I don't know if it's realistic. It might be too ambitious. So short answer, I'm not sure yet. Let's see. Can you partake in all 3 levels? Yeah, like, the other thing too regarding the levels is that in some chapters you might be a level 1, and in some other chapters you might be a level 3. So you're not confined to that. Like I speak to you openly as like, well, level 1, you want to consider this, level 2, consider that, level 3. You do have all the courses on recording. We have a private Facebook group, and I will leave these live sessions on, so you can go back. So for example, the portrait bundle that we just finished up, some of the people are going to redo the course now because they want to redo the challenges, because every week there was homework. Some of them were limited based on weather or availability, like traveling, working. And so they're going to redo it. And when they redo it, they're going to see the homework in a much different way, right? So maybe the first time they did it, they did a level 1 homework. Now, when they're rewatching it, they might be doing a level 2 homework. And each week you can adjust based on your capacity. All right, so we are right at about time, and I think I got most of your questions. If I missed anything, I do check the group, so feel free to drop it into the group. But your homework today, as a reminder, is to figure out what your costs are. You can rewatch this video. I'll send the replay. By the way, did you guys all get an email with the replay yesterday? Like yesterday afternoon, I sent out an email that had a link to the replay. It looks like a lot of people were saying they didn't get it, and I'm not sure, but I see a couple people with it, a lot of people without it. This one for sure will not be made public because I talk about pricing and I don't want my clients to hear about pricing. I think it's kind of an awkward conversation, you know what I mean? So this one will be by private link only. And especially because, you know, you guys too, we talk about your market and stuff like that. So it will not be available on for public, but I will send a private link to you guys. So I will email it to you later today. It takes some time for me to download and upload and stuff like that. You can also catch it in our Facebook group as well. So, all right, everyone. Oh, can we do a big group picture, by the way? I forgot to do it yesterday, but if you guys are still on, can you turn your video on real quickly? And then let's just do like a, get your videos on. Let me see you guys. I know I see like stuff popping up around. Say hi, everyone. Cute. Okay, that was a video. Let me do a photo now. But it'll be a live photo so we can turn it into a boomerang too. All right. Okay, you guys are so cute. Love it. Thanks, everyone. All right. So keep an eye out for my email with the replay link. You can also catch it in the Facebook group. Share with me your numbers, your homework in the Facebook group as well. And let's keep this conversation going. I hope to see more of your applications come in, and I will see you guys again tomorrow.
Is the spreadsheet available? I don't know if that was answered. You just-
For, you know what, I will link to you that, I will link to that one spreadsheet inside the Facebook group and in the email as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you. so-
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline.
My pleasure. Have a great
Caroline,
rest of your
Caroline, I asked, I send you a message on IG, but like, can I email you to see how much is it? You said something about the previous students. I just want to know how much was it for?
Oh, for a one-on-one? Yeah, I
for
didn't get to
repeat-
check.
No,
Oh.
for repeating the course, if I want.
Oh, got it. Okay, yeah. Let me, yes, I'm gonna figure it out. Let me ask my team about that to set that up for you today.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.